Salute from the kingdom of the Son of God in Jesus Christ. Praise be to Jehovah God and his only begotten Son. One of the things that is super key in Christology is the birth narrative of Jesus. Is this an incarnation or is it conception? And a lot of people, it's amazing to me how most of Christianity totally overlooks the fact that Jesus was conceived in the womb of Mary. You hear so much about the quote unquote virgin birth, you think that this would be something that's deeply ingrained in Christians. But amazingly, most Christians, when you tell them that Jesus was conceived by the Holy Spirit in the womb of Mary, and that Jehovah begat Jesus in the womb of Mary, their eyes go blank. They act like you're speaking a foreign language. Because in the mainstream view, Jesus wasn't conceived in the womb of Mary, because that would dictate origin. Jesus was incarnated in her womb. And that not just by Trinitarians who believe that, by Arians, semi-Arians. They believe a pre-existent divine being was incarnated in the womb. And they even, I believe, most of them believe that he incarnated himself. Not even that God, the Father, did it, but that he incarnated himself. So when you go to John 3:16 through 18, it says, God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son. They don't even connect that with the virgin conception of Jesus. They're thinking it's something from heaven, God sent him, but the incarnation, the part where Jesus appears in the womb of Mary, was all Jesus incarnated himself. It's all Jesus incarnated himself. The Father just basically gave him a command to come down here. Jesus came down, incarnated himself, and it takes away the fatherhood of God. Now, I know that Christians, even Trinitarians, will say, yes, Jesus is the Son of God. And then by a lot of evangelical Christians, he's only the Son of God because of the virgin birth. But even that they get wrong. They don't say he was conceived by God. They're all over the place. They think of incarnation. And that's the only reason he's the Son of God. But they don't even give God the credit for incarnating Jesus. They just say Jesus sent himself, incarnated himself. So incarnation totally attempts to destroy the gospel. Totally attempts to try to destroy the gospel. Now, what is commonly used as an incarnation proof text is Philippians 2, because you can't go to Luke 1:18 through 21. You can't go to Luke 1:26 through 36 and find an incarnation there. You cannot find an incarnation in those two birth narratives. You can't do it. So they have to go to Philippians 2:5 through 11. But we're going to go to Matthew 1:18 through 21 because we're going to build up to this, right? We're going to build up to this. And I'm probably going to do 3 videos. We're going to cover Matthew 1:18 through 21 first. We're going to start from the beginning. And notice in verse 1, speaking of beginning, it says, this is the book of the generation of Jesus Christ, son of David, son of Abraham. Generation Genesis. Saying this is the Genesis. This is the beginning, the origin of Jesus. This is where it all starts. And it goes back, in order to prove his Christ, him being the Christ, it goes back to his lineage. His Davidic lineage all the way to Abraham. So when we go to verse 18, Matthew says, now the birth of Jesus Christ was on this wise. When his mother Mary had been betrothed to Joseph, before they came together, she was found with child of the Holy Spirit. So right there, the Holy Spirit gets the credit for the child being in the womb of Mary. And when we think of the Holy Spirit as the power of Jehovah God, then you could say it's Jehovah God that gets the credit for the child being in the womb of Mary. And Joseph, her husband, being a righteous man, not willing to make her a public example, was minded to put her away privily. But when he thought on these things, an angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a dream, saying, Joseph, thou son of David, fear not to take unto thee Mary thy wife, for that which is conceived in her is of the Holy Spirit. And that word conceived in the Greek is begotten. Now, there's a reason why, listen. This is the reason why these churches don't focus on that word conceived. They will talk about Matthew 1:18, 1 through 18 all day. But they will not focus on that word conceived because that shows an origin, a beginning, just like Matthew 1:1 says. It shows an origin, a beginning of this child. Jesus is in that conception. Now, the word conceived is begotten, genao. It's the word begotten. So right here, it says that Jesus was begotten by the Holy Spirit. That which is begotten in her, genao, conceived, which is the man doing the procreation, not the birth. There's a different Greek word for that, tikto. Begotten, genao, conception of the man procreating in the woman's womb is what takes place here. It says, for that which is conceived or begotten is in her is of the Holy Spirit, and she shall bring forth a son, and thou shalt call his name Jesus, for it is he that shall save his people from their sins. So what you got to connect is Matthew 1:1, the book of the Genesis of Jesus Christ, his origin is right here connected to him being conceived. Now, we know this for all mankind. Every single person living today, their origin was in the conception of them by their father in the womb of Mary. And in Jesus' case, it's God the Father, it's Jehovah, conceiving the child Jesus in the womb of Mary. No evidence here of a pre-existent spirit being, 1/3 of a Trinity, pre-existent divine Son of God, whatever you want to call it, Arian, semi-Arian, Trinitarian, or oneness modalism of God the Father himself. No, it is the conception, the begetting by the Holy Spirit, which is the power of the Most High God. So it's Jehovah God himself, his spirit, conceiving Jesus, begetting Jesus in the womb of Mary, and it's identified as the origin of Jesus Christ. No evidence of incarnation. No evidence of incarnation. We got a problem, Houston, for the incarnation folk. So next video, we'll talk about Luke chapter 1 and see, do we see an incarnation or conception? And then we're going to address Philippians 2, 5 through 11, commonly used to prove incarnation. All right, guys, salute from the kingdom of the Son of God and Jesus Christ. May Jehovah be magnified. Hail Christ, our now reigning Davidic King.